But I make a point of going out. Since pandemic, I've been stuck in my room.
Well, I'm glad to see you out.
Yeah, good to see other people.
Yeah, I agree. Well, on Thursday, March 11th and Friday, March 12th, I could not find any protests down on the hill. So I made my way down Bank Street, the longest street in Ottawa. I wanted to talk to local business owners and get their thoughts on year one of the lockdown. The WHO declared the lockdown a year ago today. What are your thoughts on this?
From my perspective, it's probably another year to go before we all get shots in our arms and we can basically return to more normal lifestyle. So
We'll notice the down in foot traffic?
Very down.
Very down. And have you applied for any government grants or? I just wanted to ask you what it's like owning a small business during the lockdown.
For us, we were going to come out somewhat okay because we had regular subscribers. So even if the stuff wasn't picked up right away, it would eventually get picked up. So the only thing it really hurt for, obviously, is walk-in clientele. That's the only thing that's really been, and that hasn't been the same since March of last year. So that hasn't changed really. Because everybody that was walking clientele for the most part in this downtown core were people who work downtown, and then a lot of them haven't worked since March. Like, we're talking a year now. A lot of them haven't been here.
Yeah.
So
when
we'd already made our adjustments at that point, cutting down the amount of product we carried extra on the shelf and that kind of stuff, just because we didn't have the kind of walk-in clientele that we had a year ago. So we've been doing that since pretty much the spring last year.
What kind of drops did you see in walk-ins once the pandemic hit?
There's hardly any by comparison now. You know, you still get some people that come in, but I think they're all people that kind of live in the area and they're just shopping because they're walking around downtown, because they're living downtown. As far as people that work in the offices and stuff here, those guys have all vanished. I haven't seen them since the pandemic started. So they're obviously buying at the store closest to wherever they live probably at this point, because it's just convenience for them rather than come all the way downtown to pick stuff up.
So it gave us that many weeks to get out of there. Well, just with myself and my brother, we co-own the business here, Compact Music Incorporated in Ottawa. We've been in business for 43 years, not always under that name, but various businesses we've had over the years. And so we used that time to move everything from there to our one store here in the Glebe, which we opened in 1996 and have been here ever since. And so we did that. We're still closed, and we reopened after the long weekend in May, which is, everybody knows, is the May 2-4 weekend. And we were going strong, and business was really good. But we had 2 stores worth of stock in one store. Mm-hmm. And of course we have a garage in the back, so we had lots of space to, we had to build shelving and move everything, and it actually took us 5 weeks, just the 2 of us, to move everything, and we still didn't get 100% of everything, and you never can. And the reason we were thrown out was because, believe it or not, the landlord wanted to put in a cannabis shop, which he figured he could get more rent from. So,
well, I bet he could.
Now, as far as that goes, everybody was in lockdown. So downtown essentially becomes a ghost town. Nobody there. Now, if we had been, including us, and if we had been there, now I don't think we'd be surviving. It'd be really tough, especially with this particular landlord who would not apply for any kind of, assistance on rent or anything. So that might have made it difficult. Uh-huh. And we would have had to pay him. In fact, the building manager went to the point of saying, well, if you couldn't pay the rent, sell your house to pay the rent, which is really very pleasant and kind of him. So what a generous person, right? Anyway, didn't really like that, but so we end up here in the Glebe, and when we reopened, business was actually fairly strong because so many people are locked up in their homes and have nothing to do, and it seems that home entertainment during all recessions throughout my career have always the record industry and home-based businesses have always done well during recessions because that's what drives people to those type of stores during these times. And so it, yeah. What are you laughing about?
You're absolutely right.
So, what?
You're right.
Okay.
You're
So since the start of lockdown, have you seen a lot of foot traffic go down?
Well, downtown, we've seen it being a ghost town. I have lots of friends down there that are suffering in business and lots of papered up windows and all sorts of things like that. But, when you consolidate, you move into a community-based area, people want to shop local, and so they are supporting the local stores, and that's a benefit to them as opposed to going to big box retailers that weren't shut down. And I don't quite understand that because a big box retailer has many customers a day and many employees, whereas a small business has one or two people in it, control who comes in and out and how many people are in the business at any given time. No, not a hard thing to do. Whereas the big box retailers, well, they were allowed to continue and sell the stuff that the small people were making a living on, and the small business is the businesses that really drive the tax-based industry that the city tax needs and that the federal tax people need, such as GST and HST and all that kind of stuff. It's true.
What's it been like surviving as a small business during the lockdown?
Excellent question. Based day by day, reactive, just dealing with the situation and just moving forward, just plugging ahead. I'm not sure what else to add.
Have you seen a big drop in walk-in traffic?
Yeah, so walk-in traffic is close to zero. Like, if you've been taking images of the street, you'll notice it's every day feels like Sunday around here. Just there's very few people on the street. It's mostly web orders and people who just place orders over the phone.
But for us in business-wise, it's just, the government's been good, giving us some support with regards to, the grants, and we qualified for that. We also got some wage subsidies, and the only one that really isn't affecting us as much is the rent subsidy, and that's because it's based on a percentage of your sales, and our sales just didn't drop to the low the numbers as what they required for us to qualify for that. But that's because we have regular clientele.
Yeah,
and had stuff set aside. So when the stuff got picked up, our sales obviously reflected that stuff when it got picked up, or when I delivered it. I was delivering for a while in March and April as well. So it's different for people who don't have that that kind of thing to fall back on. So I can't imagine the businesses like say the barber shops, the hair salons, the nail places, like stuff where you got to have human contact with people. I'm surprised half of them or more haven't disappeared already. So I'm guessing it's because some of the government money has helped them, but it's they've got it way worse than us. And restaurants in some way, if they didn't have the means to make the pivot to having delivery done or to have takeout rather than just dine in,
I don't know where the government's getting this money from, but it's going to have to be paid back at some point, and where it's going to come from, I don't know. So we'll have to wait and see.
Here that might interest you,
But
Melody Gardot.
Ian,
Yeah, I feel
can you
sorry.
shut up? I'm doing an interview here.
I feel sorry for my kids.
I feel sorry for the future of the younger generation, indeed. As far as this pandemic goes,
Oh, yeah. You'd like every country, but really,
over the course of the last
No, I know you'd like that.
even 50 years, I've seen it. And I kind of saw this coming, but man has destroyed the earth, there's no question. We've raped and pillaged it to the point that, well, is there a return? Yes, of course. Mother Nature will return it. But it'll take a long time. And I don't know how the kids of today are going to deal with it. You saw things like the Greta girl there from Sweden doing her bit and all of that. But I really don't know how they're going to change things.
Any more thoughts on, just being a small business in the lockdown for the last year?
Well,
Some of the ups and downs?
it's really been tough on a lot of them, and a lot of them aren't going to make it. A lot of them haven't made it. Some of them are hanging on.
There's been some stores that closed already around you?
Oh, yes, absolutely. As I said, downtown, just go downtown, look at all the papered up windows, you'll see them. And that doesn't stop the city from raising the tax base. I mean, commercial taxes on property can go up 10-20% a year. People don't realize that. Not like residential where it's capped at 2 or 3%. The city just says, oh, well, we'll hit the business people. And we're the small business people that are really getting hit. So take it with a grain of salt, however you like. But, let those politicians, wherever they are, miss 5 or 6 paychecks and see how much they start whining. You can bet they will. Guaranteed. And, that's about all I have to say.
No, that's a great place to end it.
Well, thanks a lot for watching. I worked very hard in putting this special together. I logged over 38,000 steps in the 2 days I was walking up and down Bank Street. A big thanks goes out to all the store owners that were able to give me an interview. We are now up to 23 subscribers, which is great news. As long as you guys keep clicking, liking, sharing, and subscribing, I will keep making videos. Until next time, keep on keeping on.